Welcome to INN's Student. INN Student is a platform for law students to come here and deliver a lecture on the topic of their choice. Today we have with us law student Dinky Jain. She is going to speak on a brief discussion on dowry laws prevailing in India. She is from KES Sri Jayantilal H. Patel College of Law. So without wasting further time, I would request her to commence with her lecture. Thank you.
It is not the custom that abides, but it is the mentality that presides. With that being said, I, Dinky Jain, would like to deliver today's lecture on the topic, a brief discussion on dowry laws prevailing in India. As we all know that the dowry is a gift of money, property or other valuables given by the bride's family to the groom's family as a part of a marriage. It is an old concept and has been mentioned in history several times. Despite this being an ancient custom, dowries are still expected and demanded to accept a wedded proposal during the wedding. It is commonly seen in many parts of Asia and Northern Africa. Dowries have been practiced in many cultures around the world as well as including certain countries. The practice of dowry varies from culture to culture. In some cultures, the dowry is a conditional gift that can be returned to the bride at the time of the divorce or if the husband tries to abuse her. In many Islamic cultures, the groom gives the bride a dowry which is called as meher to maintain her rights after the marriage and she can fulfill her basic needs. In African cultures, the groom gives the bride a dowry to acknowledge the hardship of labor. In some religions, it is said that dowry is given as a gift to the daughters. The practice of dowry has been declared as illegal. The Dowry Prohibition Act of 1961 prohibits the demand for dowry as a condition of a marriage. This act prevents them from the practice of the dowry in our country and it is also known as a criminal offence. There are many cases which has led to the dowry deaths wherein the family of the bride have failed to pay the dowry or wherein they have denied to pay the dowry, which in turn has led to the harassment of the bride by her own husband or by her family members, which in turn lead to the dowry deaths. Here, as the people are not much aware about dowry deaths, we'll see what exactly dowry deaths are and how are we supposed to prevent the dowry deaths and how to stop the dowry deaths. Many disputes in dowry cases have resulted in the violence against the woman, such as acid attacks, killings and murders. Dowry death means that the married woman is forced to suicide or is being murdered by her own husband or by her family members. The married woman is forced to drive to suicide by the continuous harassment and tortures faced at the hands of the husband and her in-laws over the dispute about the dowry. Dowry deaths are most commonly seen in many parts of India, Bangladesh, Pakistan and Iran as well. The dowry dispute makes the in-laws' house the most dangerous place for a married woman. Dowry deaths are seen as one of the many categories of violence against women alongside bride burning, female genital mutilation, rape, ewe teasing and acid throwing. According to the statistics from the year 1999 to 2018, the dowry death has accounted to the 40 to 50% to the former size in the country. In the year 2019, the dowry cases were 7,155 cases were reported under the section 304 of the IPC, that is Indian Penal Code. In the year 2020, the number of cases has gradually decreased to 6.4 thousand. There are various sections in BNS, that is Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. Section 80 of the BNS, that is Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, mentions dowry death. It defines dowry death as the death of a woman within the 7 years of the marriage caused by burns or bodily injury or under unnatural circumstances. If there is evidence of the cruelty or harassment by her husband or her husband's family members or relatives for dowry demands, the punishment is imprisonment for the term not less than 7 years, which may also extend to life imprisonment. The meaning of dowry is the same in the section 2 of the Dowry Prohibition Act 1961. There is a practice of dowry deaths and many are still getting a blind eye in many parts of the India. Some of the few types of dowry death also includes cruelty and domestic violence. The section 86 of the BNS, that is Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, mentions cruelty. It defines cruelty as an willful conduct likely to drive a woman to suicide or cause grave injury or danger to her life, limb, or health, that is mental or physical, or any harassment with the intent to coerce her or her relatives to meet unlawful demands of property, valuable security, gold, expensive gifts, etc. The cruelty can be a form of verbal attacks or beating and force the woman or the family to yield the dowry demands. In some cases, the harassment has forced women to commit suicide. Some examples of cruelty can also include physical abuse such as hitting, slapping by her husband or by her family members, verbal abuse such as constant insult, threats and name calling, psychological abuse such as manipulation, isolation and controlling behavior, harassment to force a woman to meet demands for dowry of other property or valuable gifts. Domestic violence. Domestic violence can consist of a broad spectrum of threatening and abusive behavior, emotional, physical, economic and sexual violence. Most of the victims of dowry death in India are the young women who cannot withstand with the harassment and the torture and commit suicide by consuming poison and harming themselves. Dowry death is executed when the groom's family is not satisfied with the dowry by the bride's family. Many laws to prevent the dowry has also been implemented by our Indian government. Dowry Prohibition Act 1961. This act prohibits the giving and taking of the dowry, and it is an illegal act and a criminal offence, according to which any property, valuable security, gold, ornaments or any valuable gifts should not be given to the in-laws as a valid marriage proposal, and giving and taking of dowry is also considered as an offence. There are few initiatives taken by our Indian government to keep women safe. Section 489A of the Indian Penal Code, enacted in the year 1983. This act criminalizes the cruelty by the husband or his relatives towards the woman. Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005. This act provides legal resource for women facing domestic violence, including dowry harassment, and allows them to approach domestic violence protection officers. Section 304B of the Indian Penal Code, that is IPC. This section addresses dowry deaths, making it a criminal punishable by law, and punishes the family members or the husband whoever continues dowry. Raise awareness and change attitude. Public awareness. To educate girls and boys going to the college, to educate them about the dowry. Conduct awareness campaigns to debunk the myth that the dowry is a necessary part of the marriage, and to highlight the negative consequences of the dowry related violence. Dowry isn't a necessary part of a valid marriage. Media role. Encourage media to play an active role in promoting gender equality and condemning dowry-related violence. Making short films, movies to educate people that dowry is not a part of a marriage. Community engagement. Involve community leaders, religious figures in efforts to discourage dowry and promote gender equality. To explain people about the gender equality and start taking initiative to say no to dowry. Empower women. Educating and ensuring that girls have access to quality education, which is a key factor in empowering women and enabling them to make informed decisions about their lives. Educating them to speak up for their own rights. Economic independence. Supports women's economic empowerment through vocational training, access to credit, entrepreneurship opportunities, to give them equal role as the males, to make them independent so they do not have to depend on anyone for their own rights. Legal literacy. Educate women about their legal rights and the mechanism available to them to seek justice, to educate them about their own rights and to speak up for themselves. Support service. Establish shelters, counseling centers, legal aid services for the women who are the victims of the dowry-related violence. Many NGOs have come up to aware the people about the same. Various organizations provide support services to victims of dowry harassment and dowry deaths, including counseling, legal aid, and shelter homes. Despite the steps taken by the government of India to prevent dowry death, it is still commonly seen in the country. I would like to draw your kind attention towards the landmark judgment case related to dowry death. Phulel Singh vs. State of Haryana. In this particular case, the marriage had been officiated in the year 1989. It was contended on the behalf of the prosecution that the appellant used to harass the deceased since soon after their marriage on the account of giving him insufficient dowry. The parents of the deceased paid the appellant in cash in the year 1990, gave him a scooter, gold ornaments. The demands of the dowry continued again, which were brought to the notice of the father and the brother of the deceased by her, as she felt helplessly as no choice. The deceased was born at her in-laws' house and was taken to the hospital, where she was admitted and was unconscious. The medical examinations revealed that the deceased body was 91% burns on her body. The deceased regained consciousness. She told her brother that it was the appellant who had burnt her. A first information report, that is FIR, was recorded based on the said statement of the deceased against her father-in-law, mother-in-law and the appellant for the offences punishable under the section 498A, 307, 406 and 334 of the Indian Penal Code, year 1860. The Sessions Judge convicted them under section 304B, but gave the benefit of doubt to absolve them under section 302 of the IPC. The High Court discharged the father-in-law under the section 304B of IPC, but confirmed the sentence given to the appellant. Dissatisfied with this, the appellant turned to the Supreme Court. Observations of the Supreme Court. The three-judge bench of Supreme Court, comprising of Justice B.R. Gavai, Justice P.S. Narasimha and Justice Prashant Kumar Mishra, court highlighted the significant disparity in how the death declaration was handled by the High Court. Supreme Court further stated that, considering the observations and doubts surrounding the evidence, it could be said that prosecution has not established the case under the section 304B of the IPC beyond a reasonable doubt. The Supreme Court therefore opened, so far as harassment concerning not fulfillment of demand of dowry is concerned, except the vague allegation, there is nothing in their evidence to support the prosecution case, thereby setting aside the conviction of the appellant. The conclusion of the case is, in the eventuality of the incident concerning Phulel Singh was a state of Haryana, the court observed and stated that there was no evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the deceased was harassed on account of non-fulfillments of demand of dowry, and stated that the case was made out of the prosecution under the section 304B of IPC. Therefore, the court allowed the instant appeal, quashed the matter and set aside the impunged judgment and ordered to conviction, acquitting the appellant of all charges leveled against him. In the conclusion, the practice of dowry and the resulting dowry deaths are still prevalent as a major issue in India, as they reflect a broader problem of gender inequality and violence against women. While there have been efforts to address these issues, much more needs to be done to effectively eradicate dowry and to prevent dowry deaths and inequality towards women as a whole. I would like to conclude my lecture by stating that a significant part of the country is illiterate, and they do not realize that dowry is indirectly causing harm to their own daughter in their in-laws' families. Because of the system and customs like these, girl children are killed during the birth or are orphaned. The girl child is seen as a burden for their families because someday they have to be married and sent off. The evil has taken lives of women from all the stratas of the society, be it poor, rich or middle class. However, it is poor who succumb and fail and fall prey to it, more due to their lack of awareness and education. In conclusion, dowry remains a significant social issue despite the legal measures that have been taken by the government. While progress have been made in raising awareness and reducing the prevalence of dowry demands, the practice continues to affect many lives, particularly women. Effective enforcement of existing laws, cultural transformation, and ongoing education are essential to eliminate this harmful tradition. For true change to occur, society must challenge the deep-rooted norms that reputed dowry practices, promoting equality and respect in all aspects of marriage. The journey towards a dowry-free future requires collective efforts from the individuals, communities, and governments alike. Further, I would like to end my lecture by giving a slogan. Let's break the chains of tradition, not the spirits of women. Say no to dowry, say yes to equality. Thank you.
Dinky, thank you very much. Lot of people may think that we are talking on dowry laws for years together, but still the dowry issue is a major issue as far as India is concerned. So it was very nice to hear you to see the entire dowry laws. and the appeal which you have made, I think that would be a good start for everybody to stop taking from a dowry. So thank you very much. A small token from Hammurabi to you.